believers give testimony. And in fact, I can only tell you that why I increase my faith, because I see testimony of many of you. There are so many of you that I have seen, including Pastor. When I look at the scan, when I look at the result, I actually say that I don't think that I need to see you, because I don't expect the result to be what I perceived it to be. And yet the Lord changed. So there is one verse I want to bring out to share with you why believers give testimony. And interestingly, it's taken from Revelation. I believe that some of you may know. It's taken from Revelation chapter 19, verse 10. And that's it though. At this I fell at his feet to worship him. But he said to me, do not do it. I am a fellow servant with you, and if with your brother who hold to the testimony of Jesus. Worship him. For the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. Okay, so the last verse that I remember and I learned is the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. Now what you have seen in Pastor Handra is that he gave a testimony. In fact, when I first met him, I asked, which church are you from? I find looking after church people very challenging. They think differently, they behave differently. So I always say, which church are you from? And he told me that he was on Bethany. Then the second question I asked him is that, do you know Pastor Joby? He said, yes, Pastor Joby is my friend. And if you have ever never heard of Pastor Joby's story, I think it's a living testimony. He's a man with stage 4 pancreas cancer, and who is alive up to now must be 10 or 11 years without chemotherapy. So I told him that, do you know Pastor Joby? I said, yeah, Pastor Joby is my colleague, my co-worker. And indeed, I believe that when I told him that this is one of the miracles I tested as a doctor, I believe that when I spoke this into his life, that became Pastor Handra's prophecy. I prophesy over him that there are healing. Okay, so therefore, when I was being asked why believer like to tell story, like to testify, and bear in mind your testimony is what you are sharing, but the one who is receiving it is receiving as a prophecy, because if the same God who can do this in this person's life, and so can I. So over the past 20 over years as an oncologist, of course I see people die, but every testimony I remember is that when they testify the goodness of God, it comes out on 2 outcomes. When you testify God, you are actually giving praises unto the Lord. And that is pleasing to God. Now, for many of you have children. You know that your children love you. But one day your children turn around and told you that, Mom, I love you, or Dad, I love you, and thank you for what you have done to me. How wonderful it is. It's probably better than one of the best meals. And the testimony to testify the goodness of God, as what Pastor Handro has shared, I believe that this is a form of worship, and it is pleasing unto the Lord. And to many of you who receive it, it becomes a prophecy that this is a God who killed. But Handro has a very unusual cancer, and it's had a very difficult cancer to treat. I spoke to his doctor who looked after him before. And he told me that, well, there's nothing much you can do, just all the best, you know. So I said, well, all the best is not good enough. And that's how it started. Every time I gave him 2 chemotherapy, both times he landed in ICU, and I thought that he was going to die. All right. And when this time he came back and told me that, Dr. Wong, when I was in ICU, the Lord downloaded to me of the praises and the testimony. I couldn't quite believe it until he showed me this CD that you saw. And until he stood up here here and gave a wonderful message of what it's about. To me, it is awesome. The second question you asked me is that, do I see healing all the time? No, but I see life in the midst of illnesses. Okay? I look after a lot of Indonesian. There is certain issue about Indonesian. I still have some issues. They can never be told that they would die. They could never be told. But they always worry that they will die. So I have a lot of struggle with saying I cannot talk to people that they will die. They cannot mention that they will die, but they are afraid the most that they will die. So for some of them, when in the moment I couldn't tahan, I would say, you are worried for things that it will happen. Whether you worry or you don't worry, it will happen. But by being worried, it took away the joy of living that God has given to them. Alright? Then the question is, who are the ones that who see, who are healed and who are doing well? When they see beyond the outcome of death, when they started to live in joy and celebrate life that they have every day, I'm starting to see people starting to live. I'm starting to see Unica, one of your daughter's relative, has cancer, gone to the brain. I would not say that the doctor is great, because I believe that most reasonable doctors use the same medicine. But I see them not only well, they live. So the first ingredient I see is that they actually live life, give thanks, and be joyful of the days and the life that they have, but not thinking about what is the end result. So that's the first thing I see. The second thing I see, I saw the power of prayer. I saw it 20 years ago when I started praying, and I believe that among some of you who may indeed be my patient, the power of prayer onto that person changed that person, changed their outlook, changed their process, and changed their outcome. So I do encourage you all, when you do see people who are sick, speak that into their life. You don't know what would have happened to them. I remember there was this man, I can't remember, one of the Indonesian, every time I saw him, he said that you have to pray for me. So one day I said, why do you want me to pray for you? You don't even believe in my God. Right? But he said, no, you pray for me because there is a difference after prayer. So among all of you, some of you may be called in different ministry, but in the process, when you see somebody who is sick, it actually becomes our obligation to actually say that prayer upon them, and you see change. So in my walk, I enjoy what I'm doing. I think over time, with aging, with growing older, you see things differently. As Pahandro said, I believe that God gave me different things. I see beyond the need for treatment. I see beyond who should be looking after them. What I see is that I see the wellness in them. And I just want to see them continue to live. So you don't know the medical problem of Pahandro, but I saw it. So what you are seeing, what he is speaking to you, it is in this supernatural. I have never seen a man who is able to do what he was doing after the medicine I gave to him. He is right, I gave him about 14 different medicines. So what he did is all of obedience. Okay, the Lord strengthened him, and he spoke from his weakness, and the Lord gave him strength. And I believe that the Lord used our weakness to speak life into people. And I believe that the Pahandro, as much as you're a doctor, I have a lot of concern about what will happen to you, but I believe that the Lord will use you. And likewise, for any patient who have their own iniquity, that the Lord will use them. Is that Eddie over there? Oh, it was Eddie. Is your wife here? Eddie and his wife is another example that we went through. And I'm surprised to see, I thought, I remember seeing this man. So bless you, Eddie and Eva. So I just want to share with you, I just want to encourage you. Pahandro has been very kind, with a lot of kind words onto me. I don't think that I really am as much as what he said. I can only testify that when you ask of the wisdom of the Lord, every day He downloads unto you what is the right thing to do. And sometimes even the right thing maybe is just don't treat the person. So I am very privileged, I'm very blessed, not only that I have opportunity to learn from so many of you. I see illnesses, I see relationship, I see greed, I see fear, I see joy. And that has really made the path complete. So I count myself as a very blessed person to learn all this and make a living out of it. And I also, along the path, I have people who actually come and share their time and pray for the people to see changes. Sometimes I wonder, why do they volunteer their time to do so? And some of the volunteers will tell me that the reason why they do that, because they themselves feel that they are blessed in the process of doing that. Amina has been praying for the patient for so many years. Her joy is amazing. Every time she comes, she will just bring joy to so many of us. So I just want to bless all of you that we have different walks. We all have the same destination, but the path is different, and yet all of us can be a blessing to many. So do not need to be inhibited for giving your testimony, because your testimony will be seen as a prophecy upon the person who is seeing it. They see you being healed, then they say that I will do so too, and their faith level will increase. All right. And the second verse I want to bless you all with is in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9. And I want to bless that this is exactly what we'll all be seeing in the end time. I think that we are coming to so close. Every day we see bombing, we see people dying, in fact to the degree of being very fearful listening to the news. I think we are getting very near. And yet this is what the Lord promised us. And it is in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9. No eyes has seen, no ear has heard, no man has conceived what God has prepared for those who love Him. And I just want to address you, all of your beloved ones of the Lord, that He has indeed prepared for you that you have never imagined, because He loves us. So I thank you, Banjo. It has been a wonderful experience to sit there receiving from your patient whom you just gave chemotherapy a week ago and checking counts and telling them what to do. That is awesome. So I can only say that we are serving an awesome God, and we are here to experience what He is preparing for us. I want to bless all of you who has taken time and to be here, to hear, to receive, and be blessed. In the mighty name of Jesus.